World show. And we're going to have, a whole bunch of people. Michelle Marie's going to be on that one. Gerald's going to be on that one. Sylvia is going to be on that one. Sybil Harmony is going to be on that one. And I can't leave somebody out because then that would just be wrong.
Cleo? Look at the screen.
Yeah, I don't know if are you there too? Oh, sorry, you're only my sister. How could I miss you? Okay. All right. I won't make that mistake again.
We lost Mel.
Oh, all right. Oh, I flipped my keyboard and we lost Mel. Okay. Well, anyway, I have a bunch of stuff coming up, and I think for March we're going to continue to do the Visualizing a New World on Sundays, and then I think we're going to try it on a different day. I think we're going to try Wednesday nights and see if that works better, because a lot of people can't make Sundays. So that's all of that stuff. So here's Mel. Hi,
Mel. Sorry, the internet went off for a second. I apologize.
Oh my gosh.
He zigged when he should have zagged.
But you know, Mel, that has been a rampant problem for so many readers lately.
Our internet's been in and out for a couple of weeks now. I never know.
I think going back to Thanksgiving, people in general, just lots of readers have been having problems. So, it could be that all of us are, just too high powered to handle the internet or something.
That's what I think it is. I forgot to mention on Mondays, Linda Grindle and I do a show. 1 week I'm on her show, the next week she's on mine. So we alternate Mondays. So it's Mondays with Linda and Mel, but we do that during the day. So I forgot to mention that. Sorry, Linda.
Oh, and I always watch that one too.
And I forgot to mention I'm going to be on Michelle's channel Wednesday night.
Michelle Marie on Astrological Tarot.
Yes, ma'am.
Very nice.
I'm looking forward to that.
So if everybody just likes and subscribes to all of our channels and give the thumbs up, it'll resolve this.
Yeah.
And that little bell.
And just so you all
get notified,
in the description for this video, everybody's link is listed. So I got my shit together and I got everybody's thing in there. It was really good.
Well, and we're probably all streaming this to our channels. You can catch me on Cleo the Seer channel, and I'll be streaming this program.
And Mel, are you streaming to your channel?
Let me try it now.
Go ahead.
If I disconnect,
I think I'm the only one that can't do that.
Right, because you're co-host.
I'm co-host, yeah.
But we'll download it at the end.
I download it afterwards, and I'll just put it out there for everybody to watch after the fact.
There you go.
PoliTarot, right?
PoliTarology.
Okay. I'm doing something here.
That's fine. We'll cover you. So I have picked out, as is my wont, I have picked out a bunch of headlines from the New York Times.
I'm streaming.
Oh, yay! Very good. Great. So now we're also on Mel's channel. So that means, Mel, that your people can be commenting in the chat and we can see them. All right. So I've done the little New York Times thing. And the first thing that I saw, which was actually the first headline that the New York Times presented me with, that Biden has canceled another $5 billion in student loan debt. I mean, how great is this guy? And it says most of the borrowers who will benefit from the latest wave of relief are teachers, nurses, firefighters, and others in public service. How great is that? That's so, I mean, gosh, I just love this guy. So my question is, will this latest success be touted by legacy media finally, or will they continue to ignore Biden's accomplishments? What do we think? Inquiring minds want to know.
Depends on the news channel. I'm feeling that, it'll get some really good coverage on certain news channels. But, Biden could solve all the world issues tomorrow, which he won't, and certain news channels wouldn't give him credit for it. But yet they keep supporting somebody who tried to overturn our government. and all of that. The hypocrisy just blows me away. But I do see him getting a lot of good coverage for it. And many of us have predicted that he would forgive a lot of student loans, and he's going to forgive even more of them. That's what I pick up. So good for him.
Oh, that's great. Anybody else?
I actually think this is a smart thing to do because people are starting to take notice of what he's doing and why. And that's what it's giving them a chance to look at things differently, because he's looking out for the next wave of things that's going on, and it's just he's going to keep doing this to prove to people he does what he says he's going to do, and it's for the betterment of everyone involved. Whether or not they agree with him is beside the point. It's because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
Mhm.
agreed. Who else is ready?
I think that
I'm
we should definitely, as Democrats or independent, whichever you are, as supporters of Biden and his administration, we need to learn to memorize the top 10 things he's accomplished since he went into office, to the point that we can literally tick them off of our fingers in a conversation, so that when somebody starts bashing them, you can simply say, well, so you don't like A, B, C, D, and just run them down. And most of the time, by the time you get to the fifth item, you've got them shut down, because they don't even realize that he's done that, or that he was responsible for that.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. All right, Cleo, what do you got?
Let Val go. I'm still thinking.
Okay, go ahead, Val.
Val tried to go 5 times. I'm showing it's going to take a big leap for them to cover it like they cover the orange one, because, it is about Russia and their involvement, and it takes bravery to go on and really publicize all of that without any rhetoric coming back. But there's going to be a resolution about it, because after all this stuff is coming out about 45, if he actually, if not if, when he is held liable for some of the crimes he's committed, then, obviously that'll be the resolution to the news giving us what we actually should be hearing about Biden. Because as a president, this is the quietest president I've ever heard, news-wise. We never hear anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. All right, Cleo, do you want to go or shall I go?
No, I can go. I agree with everybody else. I mean, it'll be, it may be a blurb, a beep on internet or something on MSN, and then they'll just move on. However, the people that are benefiting from this, they're really paying attention, as are other people that are waiting to see if their stuff's going to be written off, or whatever they call it. And they're right now they're so wrapped up with the primaries and what's happening next week in New Hampshire, that Biden doesn't really get a fair shake, nor does he ever. But we've still got the idiot that the orange idiot that talks about Biden being the worst president ever. So I just love it when something like this does come up, because he should be talking about Trump should be talking about himself as the worst president ever, because I think that is true. And yeah, it does depend on whoever gets the news, and whoever, are they going to keep playing it over and over? Probably not. But like Sherry said, start stacking up all the stuff that he's done. I mean, it's amazing what he has done. And people either don't pay attention, or they're distracted by the lies of the Republicans. But yeah, I see it as kind of a blip. It'll, a mention, but not a big deal.
Yeah. I got very similar to what everybody else got, but I will add a little something that towards the end, well, Pluto's going into Aquarius tomorrow. Then we've got the full moon on the 24th or 25th. And then we've got Uranus changing direction on the 27th. These are all huge because this is a really big full moon. So I'm thinking that something may happen. And even the full moon in February is really a big deal. So I'm thinking that something is going to happen, probably starting with this stuff this weekend in through the next week, that is going to put Biden in a position where he has to take some action that everybody's going to know about. This is my cat. She's going to walk across the camera any minute now. It's okay. I'm not being attacked. But but I think that action that puts a spotlight kind of on Biden is going to force the media to have to acknowledge him, because it's going to be the biggest news going around. And I think that's going to kind of break the logjam with the media of just ignoring him. I don't think they'll be able to ignore him anymore. And there goes the tail. So, and you'll begin to see that more and more the news programs, probably starting in February, they'll really start picking up more steam. Plus, Biden's astrology really improves in March. So you're still going to see a period of time where they just are terrible about it, but it is going to change. And part of it has to do with, the world stage, what happens on the world stage. And Biden's a player on the world stage. Trump is not. That's what's going to go down. That's what I see. Okay.
Here's my dog. I'm petting her.
Oh, hello, Lucky.
Sorry about that.
Kitty, look, dog, get angry. Okay, there we go.
Well, by the way, Kevin Chandler's in the house. Hi, Kevin.
Oh, hey, Kevin. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So the next thing that I have is kind of a two-parter. So Biden signs a stopgap spending bill averting a partial shutdown. So, Papa Joe comes and saves the day again. So this legislation will fund agencies until early March as Congress continues to negotiate, blah, blah, blah. So they approved the stopgap measure on Thursday because funding was about to run out as of tonight. Did any of you realize that? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I did.
Did you? Yeah. See, I was oblivious. I didn't realize that. So that was a really big deal. So they passed bills totaling $1.66 trillion in funding for the government. And the press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, said that this prevents a needless shutdown, maintains current funding levels, and includes no extreme policies. I was very happy about that. Now, so this is another win for Biden, but what does this mean for Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House? So now, before we do this reading, we should look at the next headline about Mr. Johnson. And this says, Johnson's big problem. House Republicans lack a governing majority. So they've got this tiny little, 2-seat majority. And they, in name, they control the House, but they don't really, because he can't even muster all of the votes to get support for what he wants to do. So, I mean, yeah, he went behind their backs and did this thing with Biden, but they're not happy. So not all of them are supporting it. And then at the last minute, one Republican switched to a yes, and that pushed him over the edge. So rather than talking about whether or not Mr. Johnson will be ousted, let's just take bets on when. So is it 1 week? Is it 2 weeks? Or is it 1 month? Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I pulled a 7 of spades, which means a lot of disappointment coming from Mike Johnson. Marjorie Taylor Greene has already said that she's going to, put a vote to vote him out. I see the number 1.5, so I'm thinking it might be within the next month to month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
As far as holding the economy hostage, the reason they passed the emergency thing today, or whatever they did, they don't want to look bad, and they'll continue to delay these shutdowns because they knew if they shut the government down during election year, it'll look really bad for them.
Yeah.
But there's a sudden shock coming for Mike Johnson from bad news. I pulled the 6 of diamonds. So I see a new speaker. You know, I don't know exactly when, but what I do see is ultimately the people like the Marjorie Taylor Greene's gone. And, but though that small group, they're going to try some shenanigans, but you know, they might win on a few things, but they won't win the war. So I don't want to ramble, but that's what, I don't know if that answered the question, but that's what I'm picking up.
No, that's great. That's perfect. That's wonderful.
I drew cards on it. First thing I drew was the 10 of swords. Mikey Pooh's gonna feel the knives in his back. He's in serious trouble. But then I pulled the star
Ooh.
and the 10 of pentacles. And both of those are good. So I think that even though he's going to pay the price for this, he did do something good. And I'm willing to give him a good job. You did something for the good. Unfortunately, it's not going to last very long. And between my 3 cards I pulled, 2 of them are 10s and one's a 17. So I would say maybe between 10 to 17 days.
That sounds
They're
good.
going to oust him.
I'll
So-
take that. Yeah. Who's next? Val, you go next.
Okay. I got the sunken ship, which next to the world, and it's a 2. It's 21 for the world, but basically my clarifier is 2. So it's like within 21 days to 2 months. That's what I'm getting for him. We already know it's a sunken ship, but about 2 months, somewhere in that window is
Mhm.
what the cards are saying. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, well, are you done, Val?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. What came to me immediately was that if something's coming up in March, they'll get rid of him before March. So it kind of falls into what Val was saying on the timeline there. And, you know, and then the next speaker, if they get another Republican speaker in there, that he will do the same thing, because Kevin went along a little bit with the Democrats. Johnson, it sounds like he's going on a little bit with the Democrats because they need their votes. And that makes the other Republicans angry. And it's so absolutely silly that, yeah, I think they'll get him out by March. And who knows who they'll put in there. You know, I know we've all been waiting for Jeffries, and that should happen. That should happen by summer or so, but that'll just mean another one down. This whole thing is so embarrassing for the Republican Party. And I don't know, did they ever get to a point where they can actually balance things and bring in the money for like a whole year instead of just a few months, so we have to keep going over and over and over this nonsense?
Mm-mm.
No.
Keep
Okay.
doing it.
Mm-mm. It's so bad. It's so bad. Gerald?
I am going to say 5 to 6 weeks. That's it, because all of the cards are indicating people are disappointed. They're having to make too many choices. Some people are getting really hot and heavy. I've got the 9 of swords. People are really starting to worry. I give it 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, because that dealy-wop that I talked about with the astrology in the last question, that's going to make a big difference.
Mhm.
That's going to make the, you know what, hit the fan. So,
Yeah.
All right.
We're all in agreement that this is going to happen.
Between 3 and 6 weeks, it's going to happen.
I see 1.5, so it could be like 1.5 months, which is probably the same thing.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
just say something real quick?
Yeah.
What the Republicans are doing by, making the motions to get rid of a speaker when they don't agree with the MAGAs is really bad for national security. My light bulb went on. And at some point, I see legislation being passed to stop the madness of getting rid of speakers in the House just because a few don't agree with him or her. that will stop at some point, but after the election, of course. But it's really bad for national security. And when you guys were talking about somebody set him out by March, I said, beware of the Ides of March. I wrote a real
Yes.
letters. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say it's bad for national security for them to keep pulling this, getting rid of speakers.
Well, I think you're right, Mel. And in the next question that we were going to talk about, one of the things that I saw in the headlines is that it's not getting a lot of attention, but quite a few states are losing Republican lawmakers and they're being replaced by Democratic lawmakers. So it's a good bet that way before the November election, that majority is going to shift. And when it does, Hakeem Jeffries can change those rules. He can bring the vote to change the rules.
I see those rules changed.
Yeah, me too. And I see Hakeem Jeffries being the Speaker of the House way before the November election. I mean, I'm saying way before, but I mean, before, not with the election, but it's going to happen. Even if the Republicans still claim a 1-seat majority, I could see him still coming in as Speaker because they're so weak. And if you think about the last few times that they've done votes, he's gotten almost enough votes without even running. So
yeah, at some point I see legislation being passed as well, like laws being passed to stop them removing a speaker. They're going to have good reason to do it. And so I see protections being put in place so this madness doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
More importantly, I think that once they oust Mikey Poo, and I feel most likely that Hakeem is going to be the one that takes his place. I could be wrong, but that's what I feel. But I think that once he starts doing stuff and getting things pushed through, people are going to sit up and take notice. Oh, wait a minute. We got a Democrat running the House again. Suddenly bills are getting passed and things are happening again.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what I was going to talk about was that, the Republicans haven't done anything. They haven't accomplished anything in the House. And so I kind of see Jeffries coming into that position in the summertime, probably July, August, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my inclination too. And I've been feeling that before Mike Johnston even got elected. I felt like, God, could Hakeem get voted in this early? But no, it's going to be a little bit more into the summer. But wouldn't that be great? God,
Yeah,
imagine
it'd be amazing.
actually seeing headlines about laws being passed. The concept,
Well, and that's never happened before.
We could start playing that little commercial again from Schoolhouse Rock. Hey, I'm only a bill.
So
They played it. They play it all the time. Oh,
we've never had a Republican House with a Democratic leader, right? Or a Democratic House with a Republican leader? A
No.
speaker?
I don't think so. No, I think
No,
I
I believe
Googled
so.
this. I Googled this when I was really hoping that Hakeem Jeffries would get voted in for Kevin McCarthy and then for Mikey Johnson. And no, I don't think it's ever happened. But Cleo, I have to tell you that this Congress has accomplished a couple of things. For one thing, they have named several post offices. That's not, that's
and they've looked into impeaching President Biden.
Yes, they absolutely
important work.
Yeah.
Were those post offices they were closing or ones that they were going to keep open?
Oh, I don't know. God, that's a good question. God, I don't know. I just don't know.
God, I bet that took a lot of work and effort and meetings and discussions and probably a lot of paperwork. Oh, God.
God, I know. What a nightmare. So with all of this, we already answered my next question, so I'll go on to the next question. So with a deal close on borders and the Ukraine, and they mean the southern border between us and Mexico and the war in Ukraine funding, Republican rifts threaten to kill both. So there's okay, so they're just really, arguing about this. The Republicans don't want it, and Senator James Lankford, who is an Oklahoma Republican, staunch conservative, is talking about an immigration compromise that he's been negotiating, and he says that it's shaping up to be by far the most conservative border security bill in 4 decades. The speaker, Mikey Johnson, in contrast, sent out a fundraising message on Friday denouncing the deal as a Democratic con and saying, my answer is no, absolutely not. This is the hill I'll die on. So there's a big disconnect in the Republican Party about this particular bill. So, what are they supposed to do? And we all know that Mikey, along with, all the other MAGAs, are just taking their marching orders from the orange one. So here's the way I formulated my question. I guess unalive threats are reserved for non-MAGA Republicans only, if you believe Mitt Romney, and I do. So how will these Republicans resolve these issues before the election in November? What's going to happen?
Yeah, they
Temper
won't
tantrums.
resolve it.
I just think I don't even know if they'll resolve. I wrote how zero done on immigration because they can still try to blame Biden. Biden created this problem at the border, and that gives Trump they think more fuel for his fire. I'm going to do something about immigration. I can't do Trump, but
Okay.
Stick with me.
We don't really want to hear him any more than we have to. Go
thank
ahead.
God for that. The draconian thing that one person's working on the House, that's not going to pass.
Okay.
I think after the election and the Democrats take over the House and the Senate, then we can start thinking about getting some real fair immigration reform. Until that point, it's just going to be a shit show after a shit show. Pardon my language. That's what
Yeah. No pardons necessary. Yeah, that's good. Anybody else?
I just want to add, I don't remember if I heard it on one of the political shows or if I read it in the paper like a few days ago after the last person got killed trying to cross the border. It was a mother and her children. They threw them back into the river and wouldn't let the National Guard go in and save them. His private police down there blocked them. And I'm hearing that there are lawyers who are now going to these families and saying, if you're ready to file a lawsuit against Abbott and crew for murder, for this, for that, for all these different things, we'll do it for you pro bono. Now, I don't know if that was just them talking that it's like very beginning stages of talk. And I haven't really picked up anything on it, but if that's true, then I say more power to you, man. Go for it.
Okay. We have a little troll, and I don't know which channel it's on, but if somebody who has that channel could get rid of them, that would be great.
Do we know the troll's name? It's not on yours.
Yeah, O2H02 or something. Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here,
So
I put them in timeout.
thank you. Thanks, Mel.
It's if you guys, if there's trolls out there and you want to watch the show, fine. But if you're going to make comments and nasty kind of comments, then we will delete you and block you. We appreciate everybody's opinion, but keep it respectful. And if you can't do that, scrivi quando arrivi. In Italian, that means right when you get there.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Gerald, Cleo, Val?
Yeah. Whoops. I just was going to say, same repairman has to come in. He's got the demon, ghost, and, swords in the back. But this is what everyone's being asked to do, soar. So until we get someone like Hakeem Jeffries in, this bill is dead. It's not going to go anywhere. And that's how it is. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else?
I was just going to add, yes, what you all say, it is just it's stagnant. It can't move because of all of this, all of what's going on. So, I mean, yeah, somebody's going to have to something significant has to change. So,
Like the whole Republican Party has to take X-Lax or something. Like they just,
you're,
right?
you're
I mean,
you're kinder than me. You're kinder than what I was thinking, but yes,
it's just,
that
you know, like, come on, you know, or get off the pot. That's what I
yes, yes.
That was
All
good. That was really
Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to move on. My cards were just terrible. So, I mean, obviously, they're not going to do anything. So, all right. So, I hope this is a little bit funnier note. So, and I read this and I just started laughing. Okay, I have to center myself to be able to read this. Uh, Republicans predict turnout in New Hampshire's primary could set a record. Now, what kind of turnip truck did these guys fall off of? They said this in 2022, and it was not a red wave, it was a lipstick stain. I mean, it was nothing.
it wasn't
So,
even a lipstick stain. It was just it wasn't even a pink drop.
yes, it was like a drop of Kool-Aid. I mean, it was nothing. So, how do we, I mean, these people who are saying this, how do you take them seriously? It's so, okay. Anyway, so can we just theorize about why would they do this to themselves? Why?
Because they want to believe their own diversionary stuff.
Oh,
I think it's just a way to try to control, the media and how they look. But at the end of the day, it boils down to the D's, deceive, divert, distract, all of that. It's not, I mean, what does a big turnout mean? And there was a lot of voter apathy. So if you get 10% more turnout, what does that mean? It means maybe people are coming to vote. So I'm not buying that it's going to be a huge turnout compared to what. And so
and also in New Hampshire, not everybody might know this, but everybody can vote in the primaries. You don't have to be a Republican to vote in that Republican primary. Independents and Democrats can vote in that primary. I just found that out today and I went, and they're still saying, so we could have a whole lot of Republicans who turn out and they, do a write-in vote for Tim Scott or something. I mean,
So
word of warning from the Bayou. We also have an open primary. Our new governor, who's a Trump licker, just got that law changed. And they're going to be closed primaries going forward in blocking people. But word to the wise to those who vote blue, get your butt out there and vote. Or you're going to have what happened in your state happen in mine. And that was, we had a very strong Democrat running for governor. We just came off of 8 years of a Democratic governor who got a lot of stuff done for us down here, finally. And what happened? Nobody showed up to vote. It was the worst turnout in decades. And so the number one Trump supporter got elected as our new governor.
wow.
And he's already gave an official statement that he's behind Trump 100%. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh gosh.
So just word to the wise, vote.
I agree
Get
with
everybody
that.
to vote.
Vote.
I think
excuse me. Go ahead, Mel.
sorry. I think in New Hampshire, if Democrats can vote in the primary and independents, so the Republicans might say, "Oh, it's a record turnout," but they have to think how many of those Democrats and Republicans came out to vote as well. So, so those statistics are going to be skewed. I promise you.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, the thing in Iowa, it was just, it was, we knew that Trump was going to win Iowa, but the weather, they just didn't have that great of a turnout because they couldn't. But New Hampshire's in a different, I don't think they're having the same kind of problems like Iowa had with the weather. And I think there will be a big turnout, but I don't necessarily think it's a big Republican turnout. I think it's just,
Exactly.
and I really feel like, and I've said this before, and then I've been watching the polls and it made me step back and look at it again. And I thought, no, I'm going right back to where I was at. That Nikki Haley is going to win that New Hampshire primary. And then we'll really, if that does happen, then we'll really see some weird stuff coming. Well, it's always weird with Trump, but it'll get even weirder. And I also think she's going to get South Carolina. So I'm really curious to see how this goes. I've been looking into this daily because I would look at the polls and I'd look what people are saying about her, and I'm thinking, no, wait a minute. I think she's gonna win it. I'd like to know what everybody else gets on that. If they think that Nikki Haley will win the primary in New Hampshire.
Okay, we'll read that next. Okay. Anybody else on the why they're doing this to themselves?
Val,
They're not bright. That's why.
It was
Well,
self-destruct.
I just see them starting the fire, but really at the end, things are not looking the way they want to, and they got celebrate no matter how small your victories are. So I feel that a very small turnout and you've got to refocus. So this is the universe saying, yeah, it's not that big. Okay. And
Yeah.
it's just to start a fire and get some press. Oh, we're big. It's big. It's bigger than big.
It's not so big. Did everybody else go? Go ahead, Gerald.
Beth, Aspasia Rising said, repetition creates reality. So if they keep saying it, it's going to be true. And this is what my cards are saying. If they keep saying it's going to happen, then that's how they're going to remember it, even though it's not the facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not how the law of attraction works, but whatever. Go ahead.
Well, I know that. You know that, but they apparently do not.
No, they don't. Oh,
so.
Oh, God.
Shades of what the Republicans are now calling the J6 hostages, not criminals.
Oh, God.
Or terrorists.
Right. So I threw a few cards on it, and I think that while, yes, the reason that they're doing it is because they're trying to employ Trump's methodology, who worshipped at the knee of Norman Vincent Peale. I read Norman Vincent Peale's books when I was quite young, and I read them again 5 years later and then 10 years later. There's a lot to be said for just the power of positive thinking, but that isn't what Trump's doing. Trump is just using the idea of repetition, which is only one small piece of what Norman Vincent Peale taught. So what I'm getting here is that these poor people, that's all they got from Trump was just say it loud, then say it louder, then say it 100 times and say it louder. And that's not going to make it work for them. They're going to be very disillusioned. They're going to be very upset because Nikki Haley probably will win. Why wouldn't she win? She's the only person up there that can formulate a real sentence and actually smile at people. Everybody else is just kind of weird. So
I got a 10 of diamonds on it, which means a sore disappointment for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, very, very, very disappointed.
Yay.
So that leads us nicely into the next question,
when I
guys.
say sore, I'm not talking about his palms, okay?
Okay, we'll get to that. So now another big, and this was a big headline in the New York Times. Ron DeSantis is quietly starting to build his off-ramp from 2024. So he praised Trump's victory in Iowa. He admitted that he had had an early strategic error in his campaign. and he's begun casting his eyes forward to 2028. I got news for you, Pumpkin. You're not running in 2028. If you're lucky, maybe you won't be in prison by 2028. Really, come on, Sunshine, wake up. You and your wife did crimes, and that's going to catch up to you. Although he's still a governor until 2026. But yeah, so he's starting to kind of make grumblings about, running later, and, he kind of screwed it up this time. So we know he's dropping out. How soon? Just like the Mikey Johnson question, how soon do we think Lil Ronnie is going to be going home to his beautiful mistress, Lady Macbeth?
By springtime.
Not soon enough.
Springtime.
Oh, you think that long, huh?
Well, I mean, springtime, March or April. He is trying to figure out a way out without him having egg on his face. Well, he's already got the egg on his face. So there's no dignified way out for him. And I see at some point Florida turning purple. So, he's not going to be governor again down there. And after this, he might talk about a presidential run for 28. But guess what? I went like this as you were talking. That means goodbye to Satan, because after this, he's pretty much washed up, I think. That's what I intuit anyway.
Yeah, I don't think those white boots are going to go with the orange jumpsuit.
Well, he's already not doing very much in New Hampshire. He did a few little things. I think he's already left the state and he's headed down to South Carolina, and he's going to try to make a difference there. And I'm like, what kind of thinking is that? I mean, you've got plenty of time to go to South Carolina. Everybody else is up in New Hampshire. So yeah, I'm thinking he's giving up. He's acting like he's not, but please, if he's not in New Hampshire right this minute doing his all to try to get votes, then, and saying he's down in South Carolina, I don't get it. I don't get what he's doing. And I think they had him at like 5% in South Carolina, and excuse me, in New Hampshire, and Trump and Nikki Haley, they are the two that are really vying for this primary vote. So yeah, I don't know. I think I think he figures, well, I've got a job in Florida, so whatever happens here, I still got that gig going on. But yeah, he's just become a huge, big disappointment, and people are seeing it.
And wasn't his campaign running out of money? Well before Iowa, he was running out of money. So, I mean, if you're not getting more big donors, then that should also tell you something, that, nobody's backing you,
Well, I'm really surprised at how well he did in Iowa.
Right? Yeah.
But he did campaign hard. He did cover as much area as he could. But I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking about with New Hampshire. So it just feels to me like he's giving up. And maybe you're right. Maybe he has run out of money. I did hear that there was some money problems a few months ago with him. I don't know if that got changed or if he was able to steal money from other things down in his state, like the COVID money that came through. If maybe he could borrow a little of that.
I was just thinking that. I was just going to ask you about that. Funny. So what's your timing?
Timing?
Yeah.
When he'll be out?
Yeah.
Well, I think he's going to be around for a while, but I don't think he's going to be running for president that much longer, or running to get nominated for president. I mean, I'm kind of surprised he's still in the running right now.
Me too. All right, who's next?
I pull some cards.
Okay.
He sees himself as a master, but they're getting ready to show him the door. Now, it may take a little while, but he's got a long tunnel to go down to face his truth. And it's not necessarily going to be light at the end of that tunnel.
Okay. Gerald?
I say 2 months.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I say 2 months because I have more twos than I have aces. So I'm like going, I just think but it's not going to be a pretty 2 months. We're
Okay.
just going to see him slowly go down the drain or very quickly go down the drain. That's the visual I had. It's like, ooh. Yeah, and I love it. Val's sitting there going, mm-hmm. Speak the truth, Gerald. Speak the truth. Go for it.
So Gerald did, because my timing was between 8 and 10 weeks. That's March, beginning of April. And just like Mel said, springtime. So we're all getting the same kind of answer. Yeah.
Are you talking about him being out as governor, or are you talking about him?
I was speaking of him being out in the running for.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that sounds right.
Kevin says, I think Nikki and Ron DeSantis will both be out around Super Tuesday. That's Kevin Chandler from Kevin's Loving Vibrations.
Oh, I see him out a lot sooner than that. And maybe that's just my wishful thinking. But I'm thinking that a week to 2 weeks and he's gone. I mean, he already had a headline in the fucking New York Times that says, "Well, he's looking at the door." I mean, usually you hear things like that and then, the next thing you hear is he's at dinner with his wife and he's no longer running for president. Like his dinner with his wife is a bigger headline than him running for president. So I don't know. And I'm happy to be wrong. I mean, if Mr. Go-Go Boots wants to do that, that's great. But I'm thinking he's going way sooner than you guys think. But that's me. I tend to be extreme, and I'm wrong a lot. So it's fine.
But does he know that he's going to be out sooner?
No, this is a guy who believes everything his wife tells him to do, and this wife is the one who, entertainment purposes only, YouTube, but thought that the COVID and the hurricane money was something that they could put in their own savings account. So, they're in la la land. The two of them have no connection to reality anymore. They think that Florida is their kingdom.
The boots were made for walking. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So, okay. Now we come to the big question of the day, which is Mr. Orangina's hands. Now, I did not get a screenshot of his hands. I think by now everybody's seen them. And I just have to say up front that last summer, and Sherry can verify this because she remembers, I was on a show with Susan Lin, and I said, I think Trump's aberrant behavior is due to an underlying undiagnosed condition, probably due to syphilis or some other venereal disease, because it does eat at your brain and it makes you go crazy and it gives you other physical ailments along the way that he can just ignore. And everybody said, oh no, he's a germaphobe, he's this, he's that. And I'm like, yeah, this is a guy who has a doctor called Dr. Ronnie. I mean, no, this is not a man that likes to face reality ever. So I personally was not surprised when I saw this headline that says, does Donald Trump have secondary syphilis? And that doesn't mean syphilis from a secondary source. It means it's in the secondary stage. And somebody else said, this is more like the tertiary stage. Not quite like cancer where you have different stages, but kind of that idea that it's getting worse. It's been undiagnosed. Obviously, it's been untreated. And the guy has some sort of open sores on his hands. So what do you guys think? Do you think that's it?
Well, if in fact those photos have not been photoshopped, okay. Mm-hmm. I'm a medical intuitive and I used to be a medical social worker. I'm not a doctor and I don't claim to be. Okay. But tertiary syphilis in the third stages doesn't show up as a rash like that. I've often said that I see dark clouds around Trump's head area, which he really has to watch his health. I've been saying this for a very long time. My guides have told me, and I don't wish him harm, but I keep worrying about stroke or something like that. Back to the tertiary syphilis. if you're in secondary syphilis and you have a rash, you just don't get it in 3 spots on your hand. It's over your entire body. And then when it becomes tertiary, it's like not pretty. So I've seen syphilitic lesions before, and those did not look like that to me. I mean, it's a nasty rumor. It's not pretty, but I intuit that he doesn't have syphilis. I think there might be something else going on with his health, but it's clearly not syphilis. Now, if you want to talk about human papillomavirus, that we'll talk about.
Interesting.
But that's not an HPV thing either.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it as I didn't pick it up as syphilitic, and I still don't. I just don't. Now, that's not saying it's not, and that's not saying it is. That's just what I intuit about it.
Yeah.
So,
Got it. When I first got the hit on that, one of the things that I was really thinking about is that DJT spent years going to Studio 54. He took whatever drug was floating around the dance floor. He slept with whatever was floating around the dance floor. And I'm sure this was a guy who wasn't running to the doctor to get checked for every disease. And it just made sense to me that he had some kind of long-term kind of a venereal disease that may have caused the craziness and the stuff. Now, one thing that Susan Lynn said on her channel is that what her guides told her, what she thinks happened to his hand was that he just the night before, he didn't have anything on his hands in New Hampshire. He didn't have anything on his hands. So that, to me, to support my theory, that could have been just the beginning of the sprouting of those sores. But what she said was he could be experiencing numbness in his limbs because she's noticed the way he walks is weird and stuff, and that he could have grabbed a very cold something or other with his hands and it's freezing out, and he could have ripped off the top of those sores, making them look even worse. I'm just saying. So I'm just trying to support my claim.
what it could be going on is some sort of neuropathy, which
yeah.
means there's like a tingling or like a loss of sensation in the fingers and the toes, but that would be more like blood sugar. It wouldn't be syphilitic or syphilis.
Yeah, and that could be too, given his poor diet and all of that stuff. So yeah, I'm not a doctor either, and I'm not diagnosing him. I'm just saying that it comes to me that there's some sort of underlying long lingering disease in his body that just is no bueno, not good, not helping him. And now all of a sudden the poor guy is getting sores on his hands or things or something, I mean, we already know the poor guy is incontinent. He has to wear a diaper. He doesn't like to bathe, according to reports. He smells horrible and nobody wants to be around him. But yet he insists on that he's a germaphobe. Now, maybe he started that rumor just because he didn't want anybody to think that he wasn't bathing. I don't know.
Well, he is a germaphobe. He's been that way for a very long time. That's part of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. But
could that have been him just putting out PR?
No, I don't think so. I think he was a germaphobe.
Okay.
But I still think that his health is precarious. But with his past sexual prowess or lack thereof, I don't know. I think obviously the man has gotten tests for syphilis and gonorrhea and all that sort of stuff. And
wait, I would not assume that, though. I would not assume that. Dr. Ronnie, I mean, would he submit to those tests? I doubt it.
Well, here's the deal. It's questionable as to Dr. Ronnie was really his doctor. He just went to Dr. Ronnie because he knew Dr. Ronnie would do what Trump wanted him to do. But because he is a germaphobe, and that I feel he is, I'm sure that he's had all kinds of tests for venereal disease, the ones you can test for. But I just don't feel it as syphilis. I do feel it as a long-term illness that he's got to watch his health. Yes.
Well, I think his long-term illness is mental. I mean, I think he's just got a whole bunch, personality, obsessive compulsive, a pathological liar. I mean, he's got so many mental things going on that, you know, and everybody's seeing that he's going to get sick or something. I don't think I think the syphilis is a nonsense story, but the other, you know, to have a heart attack or a stroke or something like that, that could definitely come up, but
That's,
it hasn't happened yet.
I
But
feel a
think his main problem that we see when he is lying and all that, it's a mental problem. He has a serious mental problem.
well, he's a malignant narcissist, and I think a
I
sociopath.
have
Yeah.
I have to admit, when I first heard this and I saw the first set of pictures, I thought he had busted a red ink pen in his hand, gripping it, you know, in courtroom, because that's what it looks like. As somebody who messes with pens and toner all day, that crap gets on your hands and gets everywhere. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe he was clenching his hands so tight that just from anger sitting in the courtroom that he caused his own hands to bleed. And then when everybody started throwing the venereal disease around and everything, and I remember you saying that, Colleen, I started thinking, well, I wonder if it's maybe a form of psoriasis, because my mother got a bad case of psoriasis that started out as a rash on one of her hands, just a little small rash. And within like a couple of weeks, it was all over her body. It drove her nuts. It took us almost a year to get it cleared up with using special creams and stuff. So, you know, health wise, it could be anything. It could be something he touched, something he ate, a past life of how he's lived his life. It would not surprise me if it's a form of a venereal disease at all, simply because
Well, I think
his
if you're
past
saying
life.
that the day before he didn't have this thing on
Right.
his hands, and then the next day he did,
Okay.
you know, I think it makes a lot more sense that he grabbed a hold of something maybe too cold or too hot, or, you know, something like that. I don't think it's a big deal, but I love it that everybody takes it to such a degree to say that it's
Well,
syphilis.
that's what made me think of the psoriasis, because with my mom, it was literally one day there was nothing. I mean, I bathed her every day. She couldn't bathe herself anymore. And it was like Monday she looked fine, and Tuesday she had this weird rash. And
No.
Wednesday it was moving up and down her arms and her legs. And it's like, whoa, what the hell's going on? I mean, that's how fast it moved.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, when Linda G first looked at it, she said, "No, it's a red pen." And then I saw Linda G and Susan Lynn together,
Right.
and Linda took it back and said, "No, I don't think it's a red pen. Now that I really look at the pictures, I think there's something going on." And then Susan, who's made her living as a professional photographer for many years before she was ever on YouTube.
And Linda was a nurse.
Yeah, and originally Susan Lynn said, no, it's photoshopped. But then she really dug down the rabbit hole into the photographs and got to the actual photographer who took the picture and decided that it was legit. It was a legit picture. And then her guides were talking to her about the grabbing of the pole and maybe ripping something, you know, a sore that was there off his hands and everything. Okay, so we all agree. It's just, does anybody else have anything else to say about the whole syphilis and the hands and it? Because I have another question about Trump.
Well, the chatters do. The chatters have something to say. They're very busy over there talking about drugs, drugs, drugs. And was it the ketchup from McDonald's?
Well, yeah. If you take your, I got this one.
Well, somebody put in the comments, you know, how can he be a germaphobe and sleep with porn stars?
Mhm.
Well, I have my master's in psych, and so somebody could very well be a germaphobe and, you know, and still sleep with porn stars. It looks like it's contradictory, but it doesn't really have to be.
Oh, okay. That's good because I thought that too. I was like, well, how could he do that? But I still think that everything about him is fake. So I think everything that we've heard in the news is fake about him. I don't believe any of it, but that's just me. I mean, it's just
But
me.
I have to say, I saw him on television, and well, whatever. And he looks really bad. I don't think that's syphilis. I just think the pressure is getting to him. I mean,
Yeah, I do too.
Well, and don't you think all that fake tan stuff is bad for his skin? I mean, when are we going to hear about skin cancer or something like that? Because, you know, that's a chemical on your head, on your face, close to your brain every freaking day for the last 30 years That can't be good. That can't be good.
Well,
Maybe
nobody said
that's what caused it.
nobody said he's got a healthy lifestyle. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, right. That's right. That's right. Okay. Anybody else on this issue? Okay. Okay. So, how long do we think he's going to last? Do we really think that the orange one is going to be around by November 5th? Do we? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Go ahead. Go ahead. Discuss.
I don't think he's going to be on the ballot. Now, I'm not saying that it could be a number of reasons why that might happen, but I don't see him being on the ballot.
Do you see him becoming the Republican nominee?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No.
Whenever I try to see a long-term future for Donald Trump, I never saw anything.
Yeah.
I mean, from the time he was elected president, I didn't see that. And so when I think of him, that smell you get when you walk in a funeral home, that smell, and then I see a coffin and a hand going like this. Whenever I can't see any sort of future for somebody, and I get that smell and I see a hand going like this in a coffin, it means, it doesn't mean death is tomorrow at 2:30, but it means the person is not going to have a long life. So whenever I get those things together, not seeing a future and those three other things, I'm not saying he won't be alive in November, but I don't see a long life for him at all. I mean, whatever happens is going to happen pretty quickly, but it's just a combination or culmination of all the abuse he's put his body through over the years. So I'm just not seeing a future for him. I'm not feeling it. I'm not seeing it.
Okay. I think we can agree on that 100%. All right. Who's next?
I'll go.
Okay.
I actually see him. He's on the outs in August, either because his health, he's deteriorating so fast. We've read on something similar to this before, and I'm like in the fall. I don't see him. I don't see him doing very well at all. I think, and this is just said August, so it's late summer. So, and no, I don't think he's not going to be on the ballot. He's not going to get the nomination, but mostly because he's going to be so unwell or not alive to be available for it. So,
Yeah.
Well, I did my pendulum and I asked two separate questions. The first one was, will he be here for November 2024? And all I got was a circle, which is it's not clear. There's no definitive answer. So again, that's up in the air as far as what his physical and mental condition is going to be in at that point. Then I specifically asked, will he be on the ballot for the presidential run? And I got a no. So
that's exactly what I just got. Who has not gone?
Val.
Val, please go.
I just want to, first card coming out is the Grim Reaper, and he's being asked to step back and reassess his situation, surrender to what is going to happen, and they're going to connect him with the big web in the sky. It doesn't look good for his health, is what I'm saying. And so,
yeah, I got all sorts of things of going away, but not quite death. What I see is he will be incapacitated in some way before somewhere probably between the Republican convention and October. He becomes incapacitated due to his health. Obviously, it's not like he has a car accident and goes into a coma. It's going to be his health that takes him out of the day-to-day world of the living, but doesn't take him out all the way. I don't see him passing over. But I do see him incapacitated. But I don't know about the Republican convention. I'm really on the fence about whether he gets it or not. I don't know, but ugh.
I think him sitting through all those trials, and somebody put this in the chat too, is going to take its toll on him.
Oh yeah.
Big time.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I thought last year, I thought that with all the trials and everything coming up, that he would just, like have some sort of a conniption fit of whatever, from all of his illnesses. I don't know what that would be, a stroke or a psychotic breakdown or, something like that, like in a courtroom, because it would just be so awful for him. And then from that point on, he'd be kind of a blithering idiot. And then they would put him in the Humpty Dumpty room where, he had, TVs for windows that just were, like they just play his rallies over and over and over again to make him think that he was still president. They'd give him little fuzzy slippers with the presidential seal, and the only people that would see him would be, CIA agents who were trained to be orderlies. That's what I used to think was going to happen to him. But now I'm thinking that things have shifted. And when he becomes so incapacitated that it will be some sort of sudden event, and he'll be more almost bedridden, I think. I really think he's going to really lose capacity sometime between now. I think the Republican convention is in July. I think it's mid-July. If somebody can let us know when that is. And so between that time and October, because I think it's October is when, it's too late to reprint things. They're going to have to do some kind of jerry-rigged ballots for everybody. And I mean,
well, and let's not forget that the judge and the woman that said that he attacked her in a dressing room in the 90s or something.
Yeah.
They're calling that rape now. They're coming right out and saying you raped somebody. Now
Yeah.
that is not a good step when you're running for president. You want a rapist for a president? No. So these things are going to start building up where people are thinking twice. I mean, that you can't buy a judge, or you can't force a judge to say something like that. That's what he has determined from the evidence, and it's out there now. And I mean, whoever the woman, I can never remember her name, but
E. Jean Carroll.
E.G. Okay, she is already supposed to get 5 million. Now she's going for another 10, so it's going to be 15 million and a guilty verdict against Trump that he is indeed a rapist.
Well, they would turn that over then to criminal. Right now it's civil. And if they have enough proof, then they can turn it over to criminal. Just like, that civil case in New York against him at some point, I see being referred to the state of New York for criminal as well. So, New York is civil, him defrauding. But that'll be turned over to criminal as well. The same as in this case.
Yeah.
That's what I intuit anyway.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree.
His followers, Cleo, are his followers. And a lot of times they think it's a witch hunt. He didn't do that. They think he's so wonderful. But I do think it'll open a lot of other eyes that were already starting to blink a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what I think also. And I mean, even the people in Iowa, I mean, the reason they voted in Trump is because they absolutely believe everything he says. And you just can't change their mind. I mean, I don't know why they want to believe what he says, but they do. And so, I mean, they approach it with openness and honesty. I mean, they really believe that he is the guy to be president. But now when stuff comes out like this rapist thing, and then being kicked out of New York, and then probably having his properties seized, and all these other things going on, just the small things, not even talking about the insurrection, not even talking about the documents down in Florida. I mean, all these things coming together. I can't imagine that, first of all, that wouldn't affect a person. Trump himself, you talk about ill health. Yeah. If he doesn't have an ulcer by tomorrow, I don't know how he wouldn't. But yeah, I mean, people are going to be looking at that. and thinking twice. But yes, they were saying that the mega people are just so entrenched in believing the lie, and he just keeps lying, and they just keep believing it. So you're dealing
Cognitive
with
dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance, Sherry
Well,
said.
it's kind of
Yeah,
how cults work. Cults cause people to suspend their critical thinking and play on emotion, and that's exactly what Trump has done with many of his base. Other people will pull away. I don't even know if it's cognitive dissonance. It's more like brainwashing. And you can brainwash people, and they don't even know they're being brainwashed. So I think he's played on their fear, he's played on their emotion. I'm going to make America great again. You're going to keep your guns, you're going to do this, you're going to be able to do that, but I can fix it. And he's caused them to suspend their, like I said, their the intellectual critical thinking, and it just is playing on emotion. And that's how brainwashing works.
yeah.
People can be deprogrammed, but it takes a while. It's easier to program somebody than it is to deprogram somebody.
Yeah.
And I was reading, there's also another line of thinking surrounding this, and it's happening all over the world with this autocratic figurehead. And it's really a feeling amongst these few people who follow Trump, for example, or Putin, or whomever, that they want a figure, a father figure who's going to take care of them, who's going to make it all okay. They don't have to use their brain to look at policies or any of that. They're just going to follow the father figure who's going to take care of them. And that is what an autocratic figurehead makes you feel. And
It's
that
based
you
on
buy
emotion.
into that. Yeah,
They
it's
give
an
you-
emotion.
They give you a sense of
Yes.
emotional security. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and how
Emotional security.
he did so well with COVID. I mean, Trump really saved the day. That son of a bitch. And I mean, I cannot believe that people haven't looked at that and said, "You've got to be kidding me! This man
Go, Cleo.
allowed a million and almost
Mic drop.
2 million people that died because he wouldn't listen. He didn't want to pay attention to what Biden and Obama set up. They set up the
The
plan for
hydroxychloroquine. Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Thank God they said that about hydroxychloroquine and the bleach. Oh, thank God. Yeah.
and that
And the
thinking
lights,
went
and the
around the
lights.
world. There was over
The light.
17,000 people that died because of that.
Well, isn't
Yeah.
I won't even
And like Cleo was saying, I mean, Obama and Biden during Obama's administration they had people in China working with researchers to kind of keep up with what they were doing over there. They had initiatives and trained people set up around the world for when the next incident happens, because they had to deal with H1N1 and then with Ebola, and dealt with it boom, 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 and no problem. So everybody thought no biggie, because they were just on top of it so well. One of the first things the Trump administration did was they came in and they shut all that down. They sent
Yep.
people back to their own countries, and here we were stuck with our thumbs up our butt, not knowing what was going on.
Yeah.
Oh no,
they
that was a black light that you were supposed to shove up your
Yes.
ass, right along with injecting bleach.
I think I still have one up my ass. I don't know.
You all are killing me right now.
I'm gonna
Okay,
use-
I'm glad I have myself muted.
Well, Gerald, if we keep you laughing, darling, you won't be cold.
I'm going to use Colleen's. I'm going to use Colleen's word and says, "Boy, if that doesn't take you to the Humpty Dumpty room."
Oh my God. Oh my God. That was great. That was great. But I mean, I hate to bring the thing back to a serious thing, but Pluto and Capricorn, while all that crap was going on, Capricorn's ruled by Saturn. Saturn is the father. And so we have Neptune and Pisces, the full-blown cult, all that thinking that's fantasy thinking, delusion, everything going to the father. Now Pluto's going in Aquarius. There is no father. You are your own father. Everything's about the intellect, about the future, about what's best for the greater good, what's good for the masses, and that's what's going to come in. And I agree with you, Mel. It is harder to deprogram someone from a cult than it is to program them for a cult. And I think that's going to be the industry to be in, is in that kind of rehabilitation for people who have been in cults, because with Neptune's still in Pisces. It's still going to be in Pisces for a couple of years, but as we come through this and the astrology changes and Joe Biden gets stronger with his astrology, and poor little Trump gets all sick and blistery and everything, as that all happens, you're going to have people that do begin to turn away from the cult, but not all of them will right away because it is a cult. So, I mean, and then there's another layer here, though, for the actual politicians who are either pretending to be MAGA to save their careers or truly are MAGA. It's another level. I think those people, I don't think they're in the cult that way. I think that they have compromise that has been made known to them on them. And I think they're being basically blackmailed or threatened to do what they're supposed to do. So I think there's the MAGA cult, but then I think there's the blackmail and exploitation that's going on. And that is going to stop this year. That is going to stop. All of that's going to get exposed, and people are going to be like roaches coming out of a dark cupboard. They're just going to be all over the place saying, I'm not with that guy anymore. But, the cult, unfortunately, it's going to take a while for all of that.
Yeah, I agree, Colin. We've talked about that a lot. The blackmail and all that stuff. All of those are going to start tumbling. It's the rest that is going to take a lot of time.
Yeah.
I mean, and let's face it, when this has happened, it takes a lot of time to unwind all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're very passionate about all of this stuff, that it needs to change, it's going to take time for that to change.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we've been on almost an hour and a half, and this has just been a terrific discussion. Thank you so much, all of you, for playing PoliTarology with me. This is a
It's
great
been
game.
fun.
I love this game. I absolutely love it. I just want to say to all the chatters, thank you so much for your comments. They were terrific. Wow. And Sherry and Gerald, thank you so much for keeping me up, starred and stuff like that. That just helps so, so, so much. Oh, Mel, thank you for being our special guest. It's just always wonderful to work with you and to do readings with you. It's just so fun. And all the rest of you guys, I hope there's no Humpty Dumpty rooms in your future. That's what I really hope for all of you.
You know what? I would love to do this again. This has been so much fun.
Oh, we want to have you back. I don't know if you realize it, but
Absolutely.
you have a number on your back now, buddy. So we're going to be emailing and calling
We
you
can
for
make
a
them play
while.
Yes.
their game,
I love the Humpty. I'm going to tell my clients, have you been in the Humpty Dumpty room lately?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, hilarious. So I don't know if we solved any world problems, but we sure had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs. So I just want to say thank you so much to everybody. Mel, you are welcome back anytime you have a free Friday. You just
Thank
let me know, and I'll keep inviting you too. And
Thank
so Sherry, Gerald, Cleo, Val, you guys as usual are just rock stars. You just help out so much. And I laughed more in this show than I have in a while. This was really good. Very, very good. So let's just go around. Anybody want to say anything? Goodbye. I love you. Fuck off. Whatever. Let's see. Go ahead.
Goodbye. I love you. Fuck off. I'll see everybody on
Okay,
Monday
there we
night. Martha will be on with me, and we'll be doing this very similar thing all again, and it'll be fun.
As usual, I love the chatters. I love what you guys said. We couldn't bring enough of that back into our conversation, but I was watching you this time, and you guys are great. And I agree about like 98% of the time.
They were
And
good.
and I really love having Mel because he's just wonderful. You're really good. And of course, the rest of the people, I love working with you guys. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun today.
Okay, Gerald or Val, do you
Yeah.
guys have anything?
It has been fun. I loved it, all of you. We had really good synergy, and thank you, everyone in the chat. We adore you, and this show wouldn't be the same without you.
Oh,
But
right.
thank you, Colleen, for putting this wonderful show together.
Oh,
Virginia
Yes.
just wrapped it up for us.
thank you. Gerald, you got anything to say?
Thank you, Colleen, for putting this show together.
Oh, my pleasure, because I love playing this game. And Mel, any last words from you?
I had a really good time. Thanks, Colleen, for putting this together. I want to thank the moderators, and I want to thank the people in the chat, and the people that follow us, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do this.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
after I had cancer, my guys gave me this saying, and I'm going to pass this on to the people that are watching us. When it comes to politics and things going on in our country, don't let the fear get in front of you and hold you back. Let it stand behind you and push you forward.
Oh,
Absolutely.
love that. Love that.
Van
Very-
worthy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very
Carol,
nice.
you didn't write that on the card already?
Not yet. I want Mel to come back, and then I'll have.
Yeah,
There
so
you
Gerald already has a card for you, Mel, so you have to come back now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're part of the gang now. So,
We'll come back. I promise.
Okay, well, thanks everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the ending in the little video, and I just every show I'm just so tickled that people want to get together and play this game with me. It's so fun. So, all right, here we go.